In Arizona, residents like Khalil Washington tried to beat the heat Sunday under the sprinklers, as the temperature in the state hit 110 degrees or above for the 17th day in a row.
It's like very dry heat. If you ever stood next to an oven while you're baking something, it's like that.
The U.S. National Weather Service warned of extreme heat for nearly a quarter of the population. Laura Stewart said it's just a fact of life in this part of the country.
Yeah, I mean, it's always something that you have to keep in mind because the heat can kill you pretty quickly if you're not careful about it.
On the East Coast, the problem is rain. New England braced for more downpours, while in Pennsylvania, at least 4 people were swept away and killed in a flash flood. The Weather Service said parts of New England and the mid-Atlantic areas will get hit with storms capable of producing torrential rainfall ahead of a cold front approaching from the west. The areas under risk include major cities like New York, Boston, and Philadelphia. New York Governor Kathy Hochul on Sunday urged residents in her state to avoid travel until the rain passes.
And so please heed this warning. It's just for a short time. Please stay home, stay off the roads until this has passed if you're in one of these designated areas. We've already seen some intense rainfall. Suffolk County had 5 inches of rain already within 2 hours. I mean, 5 inches of rain over the course of a day is a lot. Over 2 hours, it's quite extraordinary. And just like last week, we had 8 inches of rain over a short period of time in Orange County, leading to devastating effects.
The Weather Service said the Northeast could experience impassable roadways, tornadoes, and even mudslides in some areas of higher terrain. President Vladimir Putin said Sunday that Russia has cluster bombs and will use them if Ukraine uses the weapons against Russian forces first. He told state TV Moscow that the Russian Federation has a, quote, sufficient stockpile of different types of cluster munitions. Putin denied using them, but went on to say, if they are used against us, we reserve the right to take reciprocal action. On Thursday, Ukraine said it had received cluster bombs from the United States, its biggest military backer. The U.S. said the munitions are needed to compensate for shell shortages faced by Kyiv's forces at a time when they are mounting a counteroffensive. Cluster munitions are banned in more than 100 countries, though Russia, Ukraine, and the U.S. have not signed up to the Convention on Cluster Munitions. The weapons typically release large numbers of smaller bomblets that can kill indiscriminately over a wide area. Some of them inevitably fail to explode and can pose a danger for decades, particularly to children. Ukraine has said it will use cluster bombs to dislodge concentrations of enemy soldiers when trying to take back its own territory, but will not use them on Russian territory. Putin said he regarded the use of cluster bombs as a crime. Human Rights Watch says both countries have used cluster munitions.
Fighters from the Wagner group have arrived in Belarus from Russia. That's according to Ukrainian and Polish officials, and comes after the Belarusian Defense Ministry released this video on Friday, showing what it said were Wagner fighters instructing Belarusian soldiers at a military range. It appeared to be a first sign that at least part of a deal to end Wagner's mutiny attempt was being implemented. Wagner's march on Moscow in June could have tipped Russia into civil war, according to President Vladimir Putin. Under the deal, Wagner chief Yevgeny Prigozhin stood down his mercenaries and agreed to move them to Belarus, in exchange for Russia dropping mutiny charges. But until the past few days, there'd been no sign of them going there, and Prigozhin hasn't been seen in public since June 24. On Saturday, a spokesperson for the Ukrainian border agency confirmed Wagner was in Belarus in a statement posted on Telegram. And videos shared by Russian war correspondent Alexander Kots on Saturday evening appeared to show a convoy of trucks and military vehicles on a highway in southern Russia. Some were flying the Wagner flag. There was no immediate comment from the Kremlin. The Belarusian Hayun project, which monitors military activity in the country and is viewed as an extremist formation by Minsk, said a large column of at least 60 vehicles with Donetsk and Luhansk license plates entered Belarus overnight Friday from Russia. President Alexander Lukashenko hasn't sent troops to Ukraine, but he has allowed Moscow to use Belarusian territory to launch its invasion and as a base for Russian nuclear weapons. A Polish deputy minister also said on Twitter that Warsaw had confirmation of several hundred Wagner fighters' presence in Belarus. Poland said this month it was bolstering its border with Belarus to address any potential threats.